works now? Test? Yeah. Whoa.
Hello? Whoa, fuck. Way too much. Right.
This works? Works? Yeah? Hello? Yeah. Okay. Like this? It's better? Yeah? Of course. It's lovely. All right? Okay. Thanks.
Hello. Well, welcome to the birthday tent at the 1500 time slot. I'm Andreas. I'm here to introduce Dominic for us. He's reporting about a proof of concept approach to disturbing fishes and fucking up the game. It's called FishPhucker. Enjoy. Give me your hands, please, for Dominic.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Harold, for the introduction. First of all, I have to emphasize, you will hear the word FishPhucker during the next hour a lot of times, but please, I have to emphasize, it has nothing in common with a bad F word, okay? So, what I want to talk about today is how can we use the methods the fishers use against them. Therefore, I will introduce a proof of concept which we created during the last years and months, and we named it FishPhucker. So, first of all, what's the fundamental problem we have to face? Phishing works. Phishing definitely works, and you can earn a lot of money with it if you do it properly. So, identity theft is one of the main problems we have to face during the next years. Especially the industrial nations, because this is where the money goes to. Another argument why phishing is so popular, you don't need any skill for mounting phishing attacks. I mean, you just have to read some tutorials like phishing for dummies or something like this, and then you can be a real fisher. The question what we have to answer today is, do the countermeasures we currently have against phishing, do these countermeasures really work? So, first of all, I have to bore you a little bit with some small basics to make sure that everybody has the same knowledge about it. I think we all know how phishing works, but I have to repeat it again for making sure that everybody understands the concept or the approach we created. So, the fisher, or the phishing circle, we can divide it into 4 main parts. During the mounting stage, the fisher is preparing his attack. I mean, he can download some prepared phishing kits, he has to own some boxes, or he will buy some own boxes where he can host his phishing kits. He will prepare the spam campaign for distributing his malicious links, and so on. So this is the first stage. After that, the real phishing attack can begin. This means the victim at home, perhaps your grandma or your parents, they click on a malicious link. They think, oh yes, that's my bank. They want something from me. It's better that I fill in my personal credentials. Otherwise, perhaps I get problems. So they go to the phishing website and they submit their personal credentials. All these credentials are transferred after that to the fisher. And the fisher then takes these accounts, tests them, and transfers the money to so-called mules. A mule is a guy who wants to earn money very quick and very easily. This means if you're a money mule, you say, okay, you sent me $10,000, I keep 3,000, and the rest of it I will send to another bank account. And the fishers use these mules in order to hide their traces. So my money, if I'm a victim of phishing, I submit the credentials, these credentials get to the fisher will send it to one mule, the next mule, the mule will send it to the next one, and so on. And in the last stage, the money is transferred abroad, a lot of times by using one of these withdrawal, for instance, I've forgotten the word. Western Union, thank you, exactly. So the money is gone in a foreign country. Some guy will go to a Western Union office and say, okay, I get the money, and then your money is totally gone. So this is the phishing circle we have to face. Some statistics. These are the statistics, or this is a trend analysis made by the RSA Anti-Fraud Command Center. And as we can see, it's quite obvious that phishing is still a huge problem. And the amount of phishing attacks has been increased during the first month of this year. So, yeah, this statistic just shows that phishing is still a problem. I want to show you now a small video, and to make sure that, just to give you an idea how a victim, what's the perspective of a victim of phishing. So this is the browser of the victim. He gets to a malicious website. It looks like his real banking website. What the victim now does, it submits his private credentials, for instance, the first and last name, the user ID, twice the password, the country where it comes from, and his email. After that, you will press the submit button, and yes, then you're totally phished. I mean, yeah, your credentials are gone now. Normally, there's not such a big message that tells you, okay, now your credentials are gone. Normally, they would just say, okay, there was an error, please call your info hotline, something like this. So, these phishing kits, or the scripts which are placed on the web servers and which are used for the phishing attack, they are quite easy to get. You can use several boards or a rapid share or several sources on the web where you can find them, you can download them. They are specifically created for a phishing campaign of one of these institutions, financial institutions, for instance, PayPal, eBay, etc. And you just download them, you change the email address, and then you upload it again to your phishing web server. There was a clever guy called Mr. Brain. I think he is coming from Morocco, and he says to himself, okay, there are a lot of fools out there who use my phishing kits, and what I do right now is I just upload the phishing kit as I normally do. I mean, I just prepare them and give them to the people, but I add my own email address in an obfuscated way. So the PHP script contains Mr. Brain's email obfuscated. This means that the phished accounts are going directly to the email of the guy who is using this kit, of course, but also to Mr. Brain's email. And this shows, or the obfuscation of his email, which is pretty easy to understand. It's just a permutation of some characters in an array. And this shows that these guys who use this script, they really don't know what they are doing. They just know, okay, I go to this web page, I download the newest WebKit for instance, for PayPal, I download it, I change the email addresses, then I upload it, and I mount my phishing attack. What about the server logs? I mean, the logs on the phishing web server. Again, I will show you a small video. Here you see again the browser of the victim and the log file on the phishing web server. It's just an Apache log, quite simple to understand. What happens now is the browser requests the index file, the browser passes the index file and requests the additional files like CSS files, JavaScript files, image files, etc. And after the victim has submitted his credentials, we will see soon that in this case the HTTP GET method will be used. So after the submission, you see the verify.php and all the GET parameters. These are the credentials the phisher wants. So the whole process of the victim's browser will leave traces in the log files, of course. So what is our basic idea? Our basic idea is we want to steal the time and the effort of the phisher. Each phisher needs time and effort for validating his phished accounts. This means he gets, for instance, 100 bank accounts, phished valid bank accounts, and he has to use them. He has to analyze them and say, okay, this is a bank account for this bank. Now I go to the online banking application, I log in with the user credentials, and then I can transfer money. This needs time. And now imagine what happens if a phisher normally gets 100 phished accounts, and now he gets 100,000 phished accounts. But a lot of them, I would say 99% of them, are totally faked. We call them phony tokens. So our basic idea is, can we make the questions later, please? Our basic idea is we want to steal time and effort of the phisher. So this is called scam baiting. Scam baiting is the practice of feigning interest in a fraudulent scheme in order to manipulate the scammer. The 419eater.com website does this quite sophisticated. They try to fight Nigerian fraud campaigns. And there's also a tool called Flutter, which basically does exactly what we want to do with the FishPhucker. It's a tool for flooding the phishing databases with useless information. The problem here is that Flutter has some techniques what I really don't understand. You have to press each button manually and etc. This is not what we want to do. So, but what we have to keep in mind is this is not a new idea. Scam baiting is quite old. So our approach is phishing the phisher. We use the same techniques the phisher uses against us, but we don't want any manual interaction. We don't want the user to click some stuff, and this is all. We want to do it automatically. Therefore, we created this Firefox extension, which works with the current Firefox, and this Firefox extension distributes phony tokens for us. The phony token, I will explain soon, is a set of user credentials, but not valid one. It's totally faked. So we have one more advantage with this procedure. We can not only bait the phisher, we can also analyze him afterwards. One thing I have to make clear: the target is not the 20% sophisticated phishers. The target is the 80% who are so stupid, they just use Mr. Brain's changed phishing kits. So we call them laymen, or in Germany VHS-Fischer. These guys, they have just little knowledge about the techniques. The sophisticated ones you will never get, or pretty hard to get. So first of all, what is a phony token? As I already said, a phony token is a set of fake user credentials created for the specific phishing campaign. This means, of course, we have to distinguish between the several campaigns. It's useless to create fake PayPal accounts if you have a phishing campaign for eBay or for another big bank. So they are generated in the context of the corresponding phishing page, for sure. And if they are implemented properly, there's no chance for the phisher that he can differentiate between real phished ones, the bank accounts, for instance, from my grandma, or the phony tokens. And in addition, these credentials can also be used to flood and trace the phisher. I will show this later on. But of course, this postulates that the banks or the target of the phishing campaign has something, a feature in order to prevent automatic validation. For instance, a capture. So it's not possible for the phisher anymore to make the validation of his phished accounts automatic. So therefore, for this purpose, we invented a small framework. We call it FishPhucker framework. The framework consists of three main components: the pre-analysis system, the FishPhucker mainframe cluster, and the FishPhucker Firefox extensions in the wild. So we will now have a deeper look at these three components. First of all, the pre-analysis system has the purpose aggregating, analyzing, and profiling. This means we have to get, or we have to collect a lot of current phishing pages, then we have to analyze them, and then we create specific phony tokens for the phishing campaigns. The mainframe cluster contains the phony token database and also has the logic for the phony token distribution. This means it sends out the phony tokens to its clients. And the Firefox extension is the executing unit. It's just I would say a slave. So the pre-analysis system is currently pretty, primitive. It's just a bunch of badly written Python scripts, but I will show you later it works currently. So aggregation of phishing websites. In this case, we can leverage from already done or already established projects like the fishtank.com project. I think some of you will know this project. It's a big database where they collect in a very good way phishing websites. So we get this data, for instance, from FishTank, the phishing websites. After that, we will call the phishing websites by ourselves, and we will analyze them. We will check what are the additional data we have to request, like it's CSS files, JS files, images, etc. And what are the form fields? How do these form fields look like where the credentials are submitted? And after that, we will create suitable phony tokens for this phishing campaign. So again, small video. So we give it the domain name of the phishing website. And as we can see here, now the first thing the script does is searching for additional files to request. This means it knows, okay, I requested the index.php. Now I have to request the CSS file and the 3 images. After that, we are searching for the form structures where the credentials are submitted. So we find an action tag. Okay, the data goes to verified.php. The form method is get, and we have several input types. Subsequently, we are creating the phony tokens, and I will show you. That's a pretty primitive way, but it's the best way to show you how this works. So we store them in a database. This is the phony token database. These are the fake credentials. So the set of phony token data, and these are we call this pre-URI data. So the additional files which have to be requested. All right. So the second component, the FishPhucker mainframe, it's the central unit for distributing phony tokens. This means, as I already said, it contains the phony token database, and it's currently only a web server with a MySQL backend. And if a client connects to these servers, it just says, okay, I will give you this and that phony token. And it's important to know that the server contains all the logic. This means that the client does not have any logic. It just says, okay, give me some data and I will do the work for you. And we have solved this problem of distribution by implementing all the stuff in an XML structure. One of the main fields are, for instance, in the next update field, it's the time to wait until the next phony token is requested. This means the extension will request the phony token, does attack the phishing website. After that, it has to wait a given amount of time, and then it will request the next phony token. For this purpose, or for this request of a phony token, it needs a ticket, a valid ticket. The user agent, yes, we have a problem that currently this proof of concept is only available for Firefox. So it's a little bit odd if we just flood all the phishing web pages with a Firefox or a Mozilla Firefox user agent. So we said, okay, let's create a small database of user agent, and we randomly choose user agents which are sent to the extensions, and these extensions now pretend to be, for instance, Internet Explorer or Safari or something like this. The pre-URI fields, these, as I already said, these are the additional files which have to be downloaded, because it's quite obvious why we do this. As I have already shown, in the server logs of the web server, you first see the request for the index PHP and then the additional files. So if we try to simulate the behavior of the browser, we have to do it the same way. The extension has to first to request the index PHP and then the additional files, and then have to wait a given amount of time. This is called, in this case, it's the delay field, because we have to behave like a human, and a human needs time for filling in the form fields with this private credentials. So we shouldn't request the index files and all the additional files, and after that immediately send the phony token to the phishing server. We have to completely simulate the way a phishing victim would work. So therefore, delay is the human response time. So the third main component is the Firefox extension. Currently, it's written in JavaScript. We also use some XUL and cascading style sheets. It's compatible with the current Firefox, and it automatically requests phony tokens from the servers. As we can see later on, you just have to install this extension, and the rest of it is automatically done by the extension. There's no user interaction needed. And if the extension works, it perfectly simulates proper phishing victims. It requests all resources, as I already said. This is very important. And it considers the human response time. So for the connection between the clients and the server, we have established our own protocol which gives the complete power about the distribution of the phony tokens to the server. It's very important, as we can see later, that the client does not contain or doesn't have any logic, because the bad guys, they can also join this framework, and if any logic is in the client, he can perhaps manipulate the logic of the client and so do harm to the framework. So we said, okay, for the extension we have 3 different stages. The first status is a fresh client status. This means you download the extension, you install it, then the extension got the status of a fresh client. The second status is the running client status. This means the extension already obtains some important data or information, for instance, the next ticket and a nonce. And we have a wrong client status. This is, to say it in a simple way, it's just If you're not fresh and you're not running, then you're wrong. And if you're wrong, you have to start at the beginning, so you get a fresh client status. So the fresh client protocol. You install the extension at first in step 1. So the extension checks, okay, do I have a ticket? No. Do I have a nonce? No. Okay, let's request for a nonce. Otherwise, change the protocol. Because if you already obtain a ticket and a nonce, you can change the protocol to a running client status. Then you request the nonce. The server checks, okay, are the security parameters okay? I issue a nonce. You get back the nonce and a delay time. Then you have to wait until the delay time is over, and then you can use this nonce in order to request the ticket. So you send the nonce and the ticket request back to the server, and the server checks, okay, is the nonce correct or is it valid, and is the delay time over? After that, I issue the ticket. Sends back the ticket to the extension. The extension says okay, I wait a fixed delay time, and after that, I use the ticket in order to request a real phony token data set. Again, the server checks, okay, is the ticket valid? Okay, I issue the phony token, and sends back the phony token, the next update time, and the ticket, the next ticket. This means now the client can attack the phishing web page, then it waits until the next update time is over, and after that, I will begin the protocol from the beginning, but with a new ticket. This means now the client obtains the running status, running client status. So the running client protocol is, it's a small extraction of the fresh client protocol. So it just says, okay, check for a ticket. Yes, I have a ticket. I have also a nonce. So let's request a phony token. Send the ticket to the server. The server says, okay, is the ticket valid? Issue a phony token. Send the phony token back to the extension with the next update and the ticket information, and so on. And now we have an inner circle. As you can see, we have an inner circle of the clients who all obtain a valid nonce and ticket, and they can request each time a new phony token. And we have these new extensions which have to process some protocol steps in order to get a running client status. Okay, so far the theoretical things. Now let's watch another movie. All right. Okay, so we start our Firefox. We install the extension. I hope it's a little bit small. Okay, what we do, we install the extension. That's the normal way of installing extensions for the Firefox. The extension is installed, okay. Now restart. At the bottom you see the server logs of the mainframe, and now you see what happens. The extension is automatically running, and it says, okay, I don't have a nonce, I don't have a ticket. Let's request a nonce, and I hope you can see it. Now, status is rec nonce, so request for a nonce. The extension has to wait some time, but it stores all the nonces and tickets in the preferences. After that, it gets back a valid nonce, and then with the nonce, it can request the ticket. As you can see here, the nonce is transferred back to the server. The server will now check if the nonce is valid, and if the delay time is over, and after that, it will issue the ticket. Now at the bottom, you see the log files of the phishing server. So, okay, the ticket is valid. We send back the ticket, so we request a phony token data set. We get this phony token data set, and now we parse the XML structure. We use all the information which are stored in the XML file, and we attack the victim, in this case, the phishing server. So we have to request first the index file, then the additional files. Then we have to wait the human response time. In this case, it's only 10 seconds. And after that, we act, or we simulate the submission of the phony tokens. So after this actions, the extension will wait again some time. After that, request a new phony token set, and so on and so on. Okay, in this case, both targets are the same, but normally it would attack another another phishing server. So I think a lot of you now think, oh, this is a little bit, I don't know, I think there are a lot of security considerations we have to discuss. So the first fact is the phisher can join this framework. Nobody prevents the phisher from downloading one of these extensions or this extension and install it, and the phisher will check how this works and what are the protocols and how does this whole stuff with the nonces and tickets work, etc. So first of all, the client-server interaction is only possible over SSL or TLS, and the certificate fingerprints are embedded into the extension. The extension, each time the extension, or you start the Firefox with the running extension, the extension will check, okay, are the certificates valid? Otherwise, the extension will do nothing. So, yeah. The next question is, we request data from the phishing web servers. And, I mean, one of you perhaps, some of you would think, hey, it's possible that I put malicious content on the phishing servers, and if the extension comes around and requests all the data, I can infect them or use some exploits. So this is not possible because the extension does not interpret any data it receives from the phishing web servers. It just sends out the requests and leaves the traces in the log files, but the responses are just thrown away. So it does not interpret any content. All right, next argument. It does not work if the phisher or the phishing web page contains any active content. This means it's possible that the phisher says, okay, now I will send each time a potential victim connects to my web server, I will send a challenge. For instance, a JavaScript challenge. This does not work. Then this extension does not work anymore because it does not interpret any or does not execute any code. So the Firefox extension is just a slave without a soul. It does not do anything with the responses from the phishing web servers. All the commands it gets from the mainframe. Second, security considerations. We have all this protocol stuff has a purpose, and the purpose is we want to control we want to do a flux control through the protocol structure. This means we want to control, and we want to control the clients, and we want to say, hey, okay, we don't want any more clients in our framework, so we do not issue any further nonces. And if you say, okay, our clients now they should just rest and do nothing, we just block existing clients from distributing by increasing, for instance, the next update time. So each extension will wait a very long time, or we just stop issuing next tickets. So if you don't get a new ticket, you don't get a new phony token set, and so the extension will not attack. Of course, it's a problem with the single point of failure. All the potential or all the real phishing pages are stored on the server side. So if you own the server, you get a botnet for free. I said at the beginning that it's possible, that it's also possible to analyze and to track the phisher. Yes, I think this is possible because we invented something called a phony pot. This means a phony pot, it simulates, for instance, an online banking web application. So the phony pot distinguishes between valid user credentials or valid users which want to do their online banking business, and phishers who enter with a phony token. So if you as a phisher want to check your phished accounts, sooner or later you have to check one of the phony tokens, and you say, okay, now let's check this, and this set of credentials. You go to the online banking application, and the application will recognize, okay, this is a phony token, so we will send this guy not to the real online banking application, but to the phony pot. And the phisher, he will not recognize that, because it perfectly simulates, the phony pot perfectly simulates the attack service. We have 4 requirements for the phony pot. First of all, it's very important that the phisher cannot distinguish between the phony pot and the real banking application. It all looks the same. So the second requirement is breakdown in passiveness and isolation. This means it should not be possible if you are on the phony pot, if you are redirected to the phony pot. It should not be possible that you interact with the real online banking application. Of course, all the traces you leave at the phony pot should be recorded, and you can make a risk analysis through scoring. We call this phishiness. I mean, measuring the evil. Phishiness is the probability that a connected client is a phisher, and then you can put them in 3 different levels. You can say, okay, this is a definite phisher because he uses a phony token. If someone comes to my online to my online banking application and tries to log in with a phony token, then this must be a phisher. So we can say, okay, this is definitely a phisher. We can redirect him to the phony pot. The second stage is, or the second level is a potential phisher. All right, this client uses, for instance, an IP address which has been used by a definite phisher, for instance, 30 minutes ago, something like this. So we have, we cannot say it's a definite one or it's definitely a non-phisher. We just say, okay, we will analyze this client further. So yes, and the third level is the definite, or the non-phisher. This is a normal client which tries to log in with his own credentials in order to do the online business. So you can use, for calculating the phishiness, you can use other ISO-OSI layers. For instance, you can use the IP address, you can use some TCP fields, you can use the usage, and you can use the login, etc., etc. And after that, you can compute a value, and this value we call the phishiness. So, limitations and problems. This framework only works for the old school phishing attacks. Today, phishing attacks work pretty much in another way. They use, the bad guys, they often use, they now use malware, and malware has different transmission protocols, or can have different transmission protocols, not only HTTP, but IRC or peer-to-peer, etc. And what we need is old school phishing attack. I mean, you get an email, you have a malicious link, you click on this link, and you think, yes, that's my bank. This is old school. So we can only attack old school phishing attacks. So another problem is that we already talked to several big financial institutions and banks and discussed this framework with them, if they want to use it or not. Currently, we don't have a carrier organization found. So I think this is still a problem. And if we cannot find any carrier organization, this project will die. So and another point is, of course, do you really think this works in practice? I mean, what we have here, we have a theoretical approach, and we have a proof of concept, which works in a laboratory environment, but how does this work in the wild? Can we make sure that only obvious phishing pages get analyzed? I mean, it's, as I already said, you have the problem with the single point of failure. What happens if the administrator of the mainframe is drunk and he puts some real banking websites in these phishing databases. Yeah. Another point is, do we have a fallback PKI? I mean, what happens if the certificates change? So no extension can connect anymore. And do we have an answer to the question of legality? A lot of institutions we talked to and who were interested in this framework, they said, okay, is it legal? Can we use it? What about the FishPhucker extension? Is it legal? These are all questions I don't know any answer. So anyway, I think it wasn't so boring. Thanks for listening. You can visit this webpage if you need any more information, like the technical paper, etc., or just drop me an email. Thanks.
All right, thanks for the talk. If you have any questions, I'll go around the microphone and just raise your hand. Oh, first one.
So not only do you need a carrier organization, not only do you need one carrier organization, you need all of the possible phished sites to cooperate with you that use SSL, so that you can go to their pages and they'll accept your tokens.
I don't get you.
So let me see if I understand. When the fish tokens are to be used, they're used at the actual financial institution site, correct?
Yes, yeah.
And they recognize that it's a fish token, and then you can harvest the actions. So you need the cooperation of Deutsche Bank,